Hi, everyone. This is Sasha Hodder on the HodlCast. Today is July 17th, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how to remove a member from an LLC. So, unfortunately, business relationships, they just don't always work out as you expect, and you may need to remove a partner down the road. And hopefully, this process is clearly defined in your operating agreement, but if it's not, don't worry. Like, you can still certainly get through it and make everything right, but it's certainly better if it's in an operating agreement. And LLCs are my favorite kind of way to organize a company. They have a lot of unique features, so you can everything is contractual, so you have a lot of flexibility in how you want to structure this thing. It's all laid out in the operating agreement, and it has some tax benefits, so it can be taxed either like a corporation or like a partnership. And they're very easy to form. They're easy to get out of. They're just very flexible membership structures. So, some basic terminology around the LLC. The first thing you need to know is an operating agreement, and this is the document or contract that governs the entire company. It lists who owns what percentage of interest, the voting procedures, the process upon dissolution of the company, the removal of members, and anything else you can think of. It's very similar to a corporation's bylaws or partnership agreement, and most states don't actually require this document. It's highly recommended for smooth operation of your new company. And so the terminology of the people, different than a corporation where you have, the director and the secretary. Here you have members. So a member is anyone with an interest in the LLC, an ownership interest, and they can be either a managing member or a non-managing member. And the membership just gives you rights to participate in the management of the LLC, and it's defined what each person's membership interest is going to be in that operating agreement. So the managing member or members are the people or person that has voting rights usually and manages the day-to-day operations of the organization. And a transferable interest. So this is a right to receive distributions of the LLC's assets, and is also defined in the operating agreement. But this would be, say, for instance, I'm quite well off, and I'm in an LLC that's kind of my side business or something like that, and I don't need the money that much. But my mom, she badly needs the money, so I can assign her my income from this organization. So instead of having to like maybe get the income paid out to me, pay taxes on it personally, and then send it to my mom every month, I could just set it up so it goes straight to her, and she would be in charge of the taxes too. But it would just alleviate that whole headache from me having to actually do any transfers and just send the money right to the person you want it to go to. It also works, if you have a creditor that you owe money to, you can just assign them the whole interest in the LLC. So that's a nice feature. They have to have a registered agent. So this is the person designated by the LLC to receive any legal papers. It can be one of the members, it can be your attorney, or it can be a company that's designed just to be registered agents. There's lots of these out there. And then you have to put their mailing address on it, on the articles of organization. And the Articles of Organization are a document that does get filed with the Secretary of State, and it has to include the names of the managers, the address of the company, the registered agent's name and address, and some states also require a brief explanation of the company's type of business that they're in. And then you have ownership percentages. So this can be split either by just writing out what percent each person has, or if you want to get complicated, you can do it as a membership unit. So it would kind of be like stock shares. In either case, it's just each what you get in that ownership interest, it's all outlined in the operating agreement. So the distributions of ownership percentage. So this is very flexible. Again, it's put in the operating agreement, but everyone, so even say there were four of us that started this LLC, we, one person put in 20 grand and one person put in 10 grand and the other two just contributed by working for it, like doing work. They didn't put in any money. That doesn't matter. Everyone can still have an equal 25% distribution, or you can set it up so that the person who put in the most money has the highest percentage of distribution. It's just up to you how you want to structure it. There's no limits on it. And also, same thing with the voting, up to the members how they want to structure that. So you could have it so that all four members, no matter what they contributed, each get one vote, and therefore an equal say in how voting goes, or the person who contributed the most money could have a higher percentage of voting, or you could have it so that just three of those four people get votes, or even just one of them could have a vote. So it's very flexible, but you can certainly change how the management looks based on the voting rules. And so are these securities. So these LLC interests, they actually can be securities and be governed by the SEC. They aren't always, though, and it comes down to the infamous Howey test. So if it's a silent partner that's contributing money to it with the expectation of profit based on the managerial and entrepreneurial endeavors of a third party, then it's going to be a security interest. And when it is, then you have to be careful in selling that security interest, because it either has to be registered or exempt from registration. So what that means is, back to the old Reg D, our best friend in the crypto world lately. So you'd have to only sell the membership interest to an accredited investor. So this question is important to understand before selling any ownership interests, but typically most of the LLCs I've seen have not been what I would consider securities. And there's, it's always looked at fact by fact. And some of the main things I think to look at would be, how much control does each member have according to the operating agreement? When the membership interests were sold, were they sold to a large number of investors or the general public, or was it limited just to people qualified and willing to take on the management of the company? Do the members have sufficient business experience and knowledge to exercise their management rights? And are the members dependent on a promoter or manager because of some unique expertise that individual has? So those are the kind of things to look out for. But basically, if you give everyone a vote or gives everyone some kind of task in the LLC, then it's not going to be a security. If you have a bunch of silent partners, then you're at risk for it to be a security. So what do you do when you want to actually remove a member from it? Hopefully it's just written out in your LLC operating agreement, and it says, if someone needs to be removed, there's a set procedure. Like if there's multiple members, that person's shares get distributed. It will be laid out like maybe in kind, so each person keeps the same percentage, in pro rata shares, or one person buys it out. It would just be predetermined. And if it's not there, then you have to look at your state statutory law for how to handle that if it's not there. So Delaware, which is kind of one of the bigger places for LLCs, they say that and this is the typical rule that I've seen written in most operating agreements in the legalese too. So it's that the withdrawing member is entitled to their proportionate share of the profits, losses, and net distributable cash from the company from the beginning of the accounting year. And the only time you can avoid paying that member their pro rata share is if the LLC is in a position where it owes money to creditors in an amount that exceeds the fair market value of the assets. So, should a distribution be made in violation of the creditor provisions, then they have to return it if they knew that so if the company is going bankrupt and it owes a bunch of money to these creditors and the person withdrawing knows that it's in debt, then they're going to have to return it. If they don't know, there can be an argument made on either side there. And then you typically do a buyout agreement. So the remaining managers will have a meeting and they'll discuss how much money they want to buy out this member for. Things that they'll look at is how much did that member contribute when the business was formed, how much money does the company have. We just mentioned how much money has the company made that year. Like what's fair, basically, is what we're going to look for. What is the most equitable number to come up with to buy this person out, and what will they accept without going to court? If you have to go to court on it, it becomes far more expensive than just paying the person an extra couple grand. Like now you've got your whole court fees. And sometimes the courts, if they can't find a good resolution, they'll just say you have to dissolve the whole LLC and then the remaining members can start a new one. So each person gets what a fair amount would be back from it, and then they have to start a whole new one.